Thanos sits on the broken throne of Titan and stares at a sky he has already silenced. The infinity gauntlet on his left hand glows, but every stone feels duller, like this universe has learned his pattern. He thinks of how life keeps rising again in other realities, louder and more chaotic, always escaping his balance. So he uses the space stone and reality stone together, forcing a doorway to a new universe where the rules are not yet used to him. The portal tears open with a scream of light, pulls him through, and the gauntlet sparks in pain as he falls into the DC universe. Space around a blue world snaps like glass, then settles. Thanos floats in the dark, his armor scratched, the infinity gauntlet smoking at the edges. Below him hangs Earth, but not his Earth. The continents are strange, and the moon glows with odd energy lines only he can see. A white satellite, long and sleek, circles the planet, covered in guns and dishes and symbols of a team he does not yet know. Inside that station, the watchtower, alarms start to howl. Barry Allen, the Flash, drops his half-eaten slice of pizza and blurs to the central console. Guys, he says, eyes wide. We've got a big purple something outside, like I punch planets big. Clark Kent, Superman, stands up from his chair, his face already hard. Bruce Wayne, Batman, only folds his hands under his chin and leans closer to the screens. Magnify, Batman says. The image zooms until Thanos fills the main display. Ridged chin, grim eyes, gold armor, gauntlet burning with 6 strange lights. Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, steps forward, her sword at her hip, her eyes narrowing. That is no god I know, she says, but that gauntlet feels old, wrong. Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, floats up from below the deck, ring already glowing. Old or not, he's in our sky. The watchtower shudders as space ripples again. Cyborg's eyes flash blue as he links deeper into the station's systems. He didn't use any tech we can see, Victor Stone mutters. It's like he tore a door in the math. John Johns, the Martian manhunter, presses his fingers to his head and tries to read the stranger's mind. He pulls back at once, face tight. He calls himself Thanos, John says. He believes he is mercy made into war. Superman looks at the others. Let's keep this simple, he says. We go out, we talk. We don't start a fight if we can help it. Batman does not argue, but his eyes never leave the burning stones on the gauntlet. Flash, Cyborg, you stay here and monitor, Batman says. If anything goes wrong, get civilians under cover. He has the weight of a planet killer. Moments later, space around Thanos ripples again as 3 streaks of color rush from the watchtower. Superman, bright red and blue, leads. Green Lantern flies beside him, wrapped in a green aura. Wonder Woman rides on a glowing path made by Hal's ring, her lasso at her side, shield on her arm. Thanos watches them come with calm interest. He does not raise his hands or call weapons. He simply turns his head, studies each of them, and notes their power levels with a soldier's eye. The guardians of this earth, he says softly. They wear hope on their chests and law in their eyes. Superman stops a short distance away. My name is Superman, he says, voice steady in the thin air. You're in the orbit of Earth. You arrived in a way we don't understand. We'd like an explanation. Thanos looks at him as if measuring a tool. I am Thanos, he answers. I bring balance. Your universe is crowded. Green Lantern snorts. Buddy, we've got a police force for space already. You're late to the party. Wonder Woman's gaze stays on the gauntlet. Those stones, she says. I feel souls around them. Pain. Death. Thanos looks down at the Infinity Gauntlet. Tiny cracks glow along the metal, where crossing universes has hurt it. Your world breeds chaos, he says. Endless gods, endless wars. I will break the cycle before it spreads further. Hal raises a hand. Okay, so we're putting Big Bad in the likely column, he mutters. Superman lifts a hand toward him, a tiny gesture to wait. We don't let strangers threaten our world, Clark says, but we also don't kill if we can avoid it. Stand down, Thanos. We can help you. Thanos' eyes soften just a little. You are kind, he says. Kindness will be the last thing I take from you. He raises the Infinity Gauntlet and flexes his fingers. The Power Stone flares. A wave of purple force rushes out, not at the heroes, but past them, into the empty void behind. Space bends, and then a chunk of darkness simply slams together, forming a chain of black asteroids that hurtle toward Earth. Move, Superman shouts. He flies at the nearest rock, hits it with both fists, and shatters it into dust. Green Lantern wraps another in a glowing net and yanks it away. Wonder Woman dives into the last one shield first, cracks the stone, and rides the shockwave away from orbit. The Watchtower rocks as smaller fragments strike its shields. Inside, Flash zips from console to console, patching systems faster than any human could. Okay, we've got a meteor shower we didn't order, he calls out. Cyborg, tell me we still have city shields online. Barely, Victor says. Metropolis and Gotham are in the path. I'm rerouting power now. Below, Metropolis looks up. People point at the falling streaks in the sky. Lois Lane stares from the Daily Planet roof, wind whipping her hair as Superman dives in front of a burning rock and smashes it apart above the city. Debris rains down as pebbles of fire, but the worst of it is gone. Gotham is less lucky. A smaller fragment punches through the clouds and slams into the bay, sending a wave over the docks. On a nearby rooftop, Batman watches, jaw clenched, cape snapping in the wind. He speaks into his comm. Alfred, emergency protocols. Get people off the lower levels. We're dealing with a cosmic level threat. Back in orbit, Superman finishes breaking apart the last major chunk and turns back toward Thanos. His cape is scorched, his chest rising and falling with the effort. You aimed at our planet, he says, voice sharper now. No more warnings. Thanos looks around at the lingering dust, admiring the hero's speed. I aimed at empty space, Thanos answers. You chose where the pieces fell. You chose well. He flexes the gauntlet again, testing. The stone's glow flickers once, like a candle in wind, before steadying. He feels the strain of this universe's rules fighting his. Good, he murmurs. This world will make the balance worth the pain. The Flash appears beside Superman, in a streak of red. Hey, purple dude, Barry says. You're under arrest for assault, endangerment, and bad chin design. Thanos actually gives a small smile at that. Then he twists his hand, and the time stone floods green. The heroes slow. From Thanos' view, they are moving through syrup. Superman still pushes forward, but each stroke is heavy. Flash's lightning trail crawls like a lazy river. Thanos floats through them, studying their faces. He brushes Superman's chest with his fingers. You are strong, he says. Stronger than most I have broken. But strength without will to do what must be done is weakness. He taps Flash's cowl as he passes. And you, boy who outruns light, cannot outrun choice. Then he releases the time stone. Everything snaps back. The heroes stumble, blinking. Thanos is now behind them, closer to Earth, closer to the Watchtower. Cyborg gasps as proximity alarms spike. He jumped, Victor says. He's in our blind spot. Codex note. Infinity Stones can still bend this universe, but doing so burns both the gauntlet and the local fabric of space-time. Superman rockets toward Thanos, but the Mad Titan has already turned his hand toward the Watchtower. The Space Stone and Reality Stone blaze together, twisting light into a spiral of warped metal. The satellite groans as parts of it begin to phase in and out of normal space. Inside, consoles blink and crackle. "Not good, not good, super not good," Flash shouts as the floor ripples under his boots. Cyborg jams his hands into the main interface. "He's rewriting our orbit," Victor says. "He's trying to make us fall." The stars outside the window tilt as the Watchtower starts to drop. Green Lantern throws a giant emerald net around the station from outside. Sweat beads on Hal's forehead. "I've got you," he grunts. "I've got you, Thanos tightens his fist. The Reality Stone flares red, turning the green net into brittle glass. It shatters, and Hal reels. Back, ring screaming warnings. Wonder Woman flies straight at Thanos, sword raised. Her shield is up, her face set in hard focus. Thanos does not move away. He catches the sword with his gauntleted hand. The blade rings against the stones. "You fight with honor," Thanos says, "but honor is not balance." He twists, uses her own momentum, and flings her aside. She slams into a floating rock, cracks it, and pushes off, fury in her eyes. In that instant of distraction, Superman reaches Thanos and hits him full in the chest. The blow would shatter a mountain. Thanos is driven back, armor dented, breath forced from his lungs. He grins through the pain. "Better," he says, "much better." The Watchtower continues to fall, a bright wound in the sky. Down below, people in cities watch the burning streak grow larger. Batman's plane roars up from Gotham, engines pushed to the limit. He locks cables onto the tower's shell, adding his weight and tech to the desperate attempt to slow it. Green Lantern recovers and pours everything into a new construct, a massive brace that wraps around the station, trying to drag it back into a safe orbit. Flash, inside, runs in tight circles, using his speed to counter the spin. Cyborg reroutes remaining power to boosters. Come on, Victor mutters, teeth clenched. "We are not crashing today." The whole League, in space and in steel, fights to keep their home in the sky. Thanos watches it all and measures. They save the Watchtower, just barely. When the station's fall finally slows and stabilizes, when the flaming trail in the atmosphere fades, he nods as if he has seen enough. Superman squares up in front of him, eyes glowing red now. "You don't do that again," Clark says. "You don't threaten my world." Thanos studies him in silence. "You say 'my world' as if it belongs to you," Thanos replies. "That is the root of your problem. Ownership, attachment, population without limit." A boom of displaced air rings out as a new sound rips across space. A thunderclap that is not from atmosphere. A glowing tube of pure light opens near them, edges crackling. From it, strange, box-like machines spin out, reacting to the energy of Thanos' stones, mother boxes, awakened by a wound in reality. Far away, on Apocalypse, Darkseid feels his world stir. Thanos tilts his head as one of the boxes drifts toward him. He raises the gauntlet and lets it brush his fingers. Whispers of the anti-life equation, of control and pure will, brush his mind. "This universe has better tools than I expected," he says softly. Wonder Woman returns to his side, shield up, ready to strike again. Superman hovers just beside her, cape floating, blood on his lip. Green Lantern and Batman join them, the League forming a line between Thanos and Earth. It is the first full poster moment. The Justice League and Thanos, sharing the same patch of space, the planet hanging behind them. "Last chance," Batman says, voice cold through the comm. "Leave, or we make you leave." Thanos turns his gaze to the mortal man in the bat-shaped plane. "You are only human," Thanos says, "yet you speak like a god. I have always respected that kind of madness." He closes his fist around the nearest mother box. The box screams in a voice only gods hear. Thanos opens a small portal behind him with the space stone and steps through. In an instant, he is gone, taking the mother box and its new data. The Justice League is left floating in the scarred orbit, with a shaking station and a wound in the sky. Up to now, Thanos has tested the Justice League, learned their strengths, and stolen a piece of this universe's deepest power. On Apocalypse, fire never sleeps. Darkseid sits on his own throne of carved stone, eyes burning with steady Omega effect. Steppenwolf kneels before him, head bowed, as reports of the mother box's sudden agitation echo through the hall. "The boxes screamed, my lord," Steppenwolf says. "Something from a foreign cosmos touched them." Darkseid stands. His presence alone makes the floor crack. "The multiverse shifts," he says. "A stranger with a hand of dead suns has arrived." He turns his head toward the heart of Apocalypse. "We will watch. We will measure." Thanos steps from a blue portal into the shadowed skies above Apocalypse. The air here is thick with ash and despair. He inhales and feels the shape of this world's madness. "Another tyrant," he says. "Another god who believes he owns all souls." Omega beams rise from the surface, thin lines of impossible light. They twist and turn, curving through space like living snakes, and streak toward Thanos. He raises the Infinity Gauntlet. The Reality Stone flares red, thickening the space in front of him. The beams hit the warped space and bend, struggling. One slips through and rakes across Thanos' shoulder, burning armor and flesh. He grunts, surprised by the bite, and redirects the other beam with a twist of the space stone, sending it crashing into an empty asteroid. The rock explodes in silent fire. Darkseid flies up to meet him, arms folded behind his back. They stop a short distance apart, two titans hovering above a world of pain. "I am Darkseid," he says. "You trespass in my domain, outsider." Thanos looks at him, eyes calm. "I am Thanos," he answers. "I trespass in every domain that refuses balance." Darkseid's eyes narrow. "You speak of balance, but I smell death," he said. "You carry fragments of a foreign law." Thanos glances at the Infinity Gauntlet. "These stones once shaped another universe," he says. "Here, they strain, but they still cut." He rolls his shoulder, testing the wound. It throbs, reminding him that not all power is his. On the far side of Apocalypse's orbit, a green streak appears. Green Lantern. Hal hangs back, calling the Justice League. "We've got our boy Purple heading straight for Hell Planet," he says, "and he's not alone." In response, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Martian Manhunter emerge from a boom tube opened by Cyborg, using the stolen mother box. Batman, Flash, and Cyborg stay back to guard Earth and monitor. Superman floats closer, keeping distance, watching the two tyrants. "We can't let either of them win," he says quietly to Diana. Wonder Woman nods. "This is a clash of monsters," she says. "But the fire will fall on the innocent if we do nothing." John listens to both minds at once and feels only cold certainty in each. Darkseid makes the first move. He raises a hand, and whole swarms of parademons fly up from the planet, wings screeching. They circle Thanos, claws ready, eyes glowing with anti-life hunger. "Let us see if your balance can stand against my will," Darkseid says. Thanos looks unimpressed. He sweeps his hand, and the Power Stone pulses. A shockwave ripples out, smashing through the first wave of parademons, tearing wings and scattering bodies. The creatures die in silence, drifting back down into the fire pits. The Soul Stone flares orange as their life force passes. Thanos feels them, countless broken souls, already half dead before he arrived. "This world is rot stacked on rot," he says. "You call this rule?" Darkseid's lips curl. "Rule is whatever survives," he answers. The Infinity Gauntlet glows as Thanos pulls on multiple stones at once. He uses the Space Stone to blink closer, the Power Stone to drive his fist into Darkseid's chest. The hit sends Darkseid flying back, crashing into a floating warship. Metal screams and bends around him. Darkseid rises, unbroken but bruised. Omega beams shoot from his eyes again, this time splitting mid-flight, aiming not only at Thanos, but at the Justice League watching nearby. Superman darts in front of one beam, straining as it pushes him back. Wonder Woman raises her bracelets, crosses them, and catches another beam on her bracers, sparks bursting out. Thanos turns the Time Stone, slowing the beam slightly, just enough to step aside from his own share. Even slowed, one grazes his side, carving another glowing wound. He feels his body protest. This universe's gods are not soft. The League dives into the chaos. Green Lantern creates shields around Superman and Wonder Woman, thick green walls that crack under the pressure of Omega energy. John phases the remains of a warship through another, turning Apocalypse's own weapons against each other. Parademons swarm them, claws scraping shields and armor. Superman charges Darkseid, trading blows that make the sky shake. Darkseid laughs as he fights, a low, awful sound. "Kryptonian, you reach above your station," he says. Superman punches harder, focused. "I reach for the people below," he replies, "always." Their clash throws shockwaves through the air. Thanos watches, learning. He sees that Darkseid has something deeper than stone and fire. He reaches out with the Mind Stone and brushes the surface of Darkseid's thought. He finds hints of the anti-life equation, of a formula that kills free will itself. The touch goes both ways. Darkseid glimpses Thanos' universe, sees half of life turn to dust, and the smile on the Titan's face as he did it. "You are a crude copy of Destiny," Darkseid says, disgusted. "I am Destiny." He lunges, striking Thanos with a fist that blazes with the will of Apocalypse. Thanos staggers back, gauntlet flaring to compensate. He feels bones protest, armor crack more. He answers with the Power Stone, slamming his fist into Darkseid's side and sending the new god crashing into the surface below. The planet trembles. The Justice League is forced to split. Wonder Woman dives after Darkseid to stop him from unleashing even worse weapons on the surface. Superman moves to block Thanos as the Titan tries to press his advantage. Green Lantern and John struggle to keep parademons off the civilians stolen from countless worlds below. "I thought we were dealing with one cosmic jerk," Hal mutters, creating a massive green hammer to smash a wave of parademons. "Now it's a 2-for-1 sale." John, his form half-spirit, as he phases through attacks, answers in a calm voice. "2 tyrants, 1 universe." He looks up at Thanos, and one group of fools trying to stand between them. Thanos senses the mother boxes again, deep in the core of Apocalypse. He uses the Space Stone to blink for an instant, dipping a hand through reality to touch that core. He does not fully enter. He has learned not to overreach in an alien universe. He just reaches far enough to pull knowledge. Anti-life whispers. He sees a version of reality where all minds are one thought. He sees how clean that looks. He also sees how it would end his idea of balance, because there would be no choice left. He pulls back, mind burning. The Mind Stone crackles with static. The gauntlet smokes, but he keeps a fragment of the equation in his head. The League sees the distraction and strikes. Superman slams Thanos with a double-fisted blow from above. Wonder Woman throws her lasso around his arm, the golden rope burning with truth. Green Lantern locks a chain around his legs, dragging. The lasso bites into Thanos' mind. Diana's voice rings in his head. "Why do you kill?" she asks. "What wound are you trying to fix?" He sees Titan again, starving, ignored by a universe that did not care. He hears himself shouting warnings no one believed. "I kill so others do not starve," he says through gritted teeth. "I kill so someone learns." The lasso flares brighter. "You kill because you are afraid you were wrong," Diana says softly. Thanos roars and tears free, snapping the chain of light. Burning his own skin to break the lasso's grip, he sweeps his hand, unleashing a wide Power Stone blast that knocks the heroes back. Parademons are vaporized. Chunks of Apocalypse's floating structures melt. Darkseid, climbing from a crater, is caught at the edge and stumbles. The blast leaves Thanos panting. The gauntlet's lights dim for a moment, then return at half brightness. He has pushed the stones far in a universe that is not theirs. Cracks spread wider along the golden metal. Superman floats up again, bruised, lip bleeding. "We can't keep this up," he says over the comm. "He's too strong, and Darkseid's still here." Batman's voice cuts in from the watchtower. "Then change the rules," Bruce says. "We don't have to win here. We just have to get him away and figure out how he works." Cyborg uses the stolen mother box from Earth, opening a boom tube behind the League. "Retreat path is open," Victor says. "I can't hold it long. This universe's code is freaking out." Wonder Woman looks at Thanos, then at Darkseid. She hates leaving either, but she knows dead heroes save no one. Superman makes the call. "Fall back," he orders. "We regroup, we learn, we come back smarter." Green Lantern curses but obeys, pulling John with him. Wonder Woman flies last, eyes never leaving Thanos, until the boom tube closes behind her. Apocalypse quiets, for now. Thanos and Darkseid hang in the ruined sky, both wounded, both calculating. "You seek to rewrite my universe with your clumsy balance," Darkseid says. "You let it rot," Thanos answers. "We will see whose vision survives." Darkseid, for once, does not press. He has seen enough of the Infinity Gauntlet's limits and dangers. He lets Thanos leave, knowing that a clash with the Justice League and the higher laws of this universe will wear the Titan down. There is time yet for a final claim. Thanos opens a Space Stone portal and steps away from the Fire World. He emerges in the cold void between stars. Here, he floats and thinks. The Infinity Gauntlet throbs like a wounded heart. On Oar, the home of the Green Lantern Corps, the Guardians of the Universe gather. Small blue figures float over a circular chamber, faces grave. Hal's reports and ring recordings spin before them in light. "Thanos," one Guardian says, "a wielder of foreign infinity." Another Guardian taps the image of the gauntlet. "These stones distort our emotional spectrum and the fabric of space," she says. "They are not tuned to our cosmos." A third Guardian lifts his hood. If he combines that power with the anti-life equation, reality itself may buckle, he warns. "Can we remove him?" Hal asks, voice tight. "Not without cost," the Guardian replies. "A direct attack may trigger a chain reaction. The stones could shatter and tear the universe with them." Hal's shoulders slump. "So we can't just punch him harder," he says. "Great. Punching is still useful," another Guardian notes. But we will need strategy, and we will need the Justice League. On Earth, the League gathers in the Watchtower's war room. The station is scarred, armored plates replaced, systems still glitching. Superman stands at the center table, arms folded, listening. Batman clicks through scans of Thanos and the Gauntlet. He's not a god, Bruce says. He's a soldier with a tool that shouldn't work here, but does anyway. Cyborg points at a set of graphs. Every time he uses the stones, they tune a little more to our physics, Victor says. And they hurt him, and the space around him, in the process. Flash leans back in his chair. So he gets stronger and weaker at the same time, Barry asks. That's confusing. John nods. His mind is a storm of pain and purpose, he says. The more he tries to fix the universe, the more broken he becomes. Wonder Woman rests a hand on the table. We cannot let him use our ancient tools, she says. The mother boxes, the equation, the source itself. Superman looks up. So we keep him away from them, he says. We push him where he's weakest. And where is that? Flash asks. Batman taps the screen, zooming in on the cracked gauntlet. Here, he says. The gauntlet is breaking. The stones are off balance. He's overreaching because he thinks he has to finish his mission before they fail. He looks around the table. We don't just fight him, we fight his clock. They plan. They map out where the mother boxes are, where the strongest mystical sites lie, where the source's presence feels closest. Zatanna, Dr. Fate, and other magic users join by projection, their faces tense. They all agree. The universe's deeper powers are stirring, and not in a gentle way. Thanos does not rest either. He studies the fragment of anti-life in his mind, pushing the Mind Stone to translate it into something his universe's logic can use. Every attempt sends a jolt of pain through his skull, but he keeps going, step by step, toward a single vision, a universe where no one dares to overgrow. Power scaling interlude I. In Batman's private log, he notes that Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet is both the key and the weakness. The stones still hold vast force, but each use in this alien reality cracks them further. The Guardians report that if the gauntlet shatters while fully charged, it could tear the DC universe's laws apart, unmaking whole sectors of space. Magic experts say they can anchor parts of reality to resist this, but each anchor demands a great sacrifice, blood, power, or the loss of an entire artifact. The League can either push Thanos to burn out faster and risk a universal fracture, or slow him down and accept a longer war in which he might bind anti-life to his will. By now, early battles have shown Thanos can win in this universe, but his presence has forced every power, heroes, tyrants, and cosmic laws to start changing their plans around him. Screens flicker all over Earth. News anchors talk over footage of falling fire, a wounded sky, and a purple warlord in space. People in Metropolis, Gotham, Central City, and beyond whisper the same name: Thanos. In hidden places, Atlantis, Themyscira, Nanda Parbat, seer and scientists both feel a pressure in the air, like the world is about to exhale for the last time. Even the Phantom Zone quivers, as if something outside reality is tugging its walls. In the Watchtower, holograms of worlds spin over the table. Cyborg points to glowing red cracks spreading through space. These aren't normal rifts, Victor says. They line up with every place he used the stones. John nods slowly. Like scars, he says. Reality scars. Batman taps one crack. And they're growing, Bruce says. Fast. Superman stands with his jaw set. Where is he now? He asks. Green Lantern's ring projects a map. He's not in our solar system, Hal says. Last Trace was heading toward the edge of known space, but the ring keeps getting static when I try to pinpoint him. That means he's near something older than the ring, a new voice says. The room chills as a tall, ghostly figure appears. The spectre, spirit of divine judgment. His green cloak moves like smoke, his pale eyes looking through all of them at once. You call it the source wall, Spectre says. The edge of all that is. He walks toward it with stolen law in his hand. Wonder Woman rests her fingers on her sword. He seeks our beginning, she says, so he can force an end. Far away at that edge, Thanos floats in silence. Before him rises the source wall, a colossal barrier of stone and frozen gods, where countless shapes are locked in place. The infinity gauntlet throbs with heat. The fragment of anti-life whispers in his head. He studies the wall. He feels a pressure pushing back at him, telling him that this is not his story, not his place. He has heard no from the universe before. He clenches his fist and prepares to answer, as he always has. The time stone glows faintly green. He sends his senses forward, trying to see what will happen if he forces the stones against the wall. All he gets back is pain and a flash of white. A universe with no stars, no voices, no movement. Perfect balance, the anti-life fragment murmurs. No want, no noise. Thanos pulls his mind back, breathing hard. He is not sure if that flash was promise or warning. He's not sure which he wants more. A universe half gone but living, or a universe turned into a still, silent grave. Show me strength, he whispers to the wall. Show me if you can stand. He reaches out. The power stone surges, purple energy flooding his arm. He slams the gauntlet against the source wall. The impact shakes his bones. The wall responds. Not with cracks, but with light. Golden lines race outward from his fist, tracing shapes of long trapped gods and giants. For a heartbeat, faces move in the stone. A chorus of voices speaks in a language even the stones cannot fully translate. The infinity gauntlet screams in his mind. Cracks burst across its surface. The space stone flickers, the reality stone spits sparks. Thanos pulls his hand back, muscles tearing, armor melting around his wrist. On Earth, in the watchtower, every sensor goes blind for a second. The Spectre's form fades, as if pressed between two choices. Zatanna clutches her head. Dr. Fate staggers, helm glowing too bright. The wall has been struck, Fate says. The line between universes bends. Alarms chime. A hologram shows a wave of distortion racing from the edge of the universe toward them. Concussive reality shock, Victor says. Headed straight for us. I can't even measure the top limit on this thing. Flash swallows. So, like a cosmic tsunami? He asks. Fun. On Apocalypse, Darkseid feels the tremor. Stone dust falls from the ceiling of his throne room. Steppenwolf kneels again, sweating. The edge shivers, my lord, he said. Darkseid's eyes narrow. The foreigner has touched the source wall, he says. He would break what even new gods fear to approach. He rises and steps onto a platform that floats up toward space. Our playfield changes, Darkseid mutters. If the wall falls, there will be nothing left to rule. He hates that thought more than any rebel. He hates that Thanos may force him to protect what he wished to own. Back at the wall, Thanos floats with his arm burned black to the elbow. The gauntlet hangs heavy, its lights guttering. But beneath the pain, he feels something else. A thin, sharp thread connecting the stones to the wall, and from the wall to every corner of this universe. He has found the load-bearing bone. If I push again, he says to himself, I can snap you. He pictures half this universe gone, as before. He also pictures the anti-life fragment taking that chance to go further, to choke everything. The choice claws at him. Behind him, space twists. A green tunnel opens, a combined construct from the Green Lantern Corps and the Justice League's magic circle. Superman flies out first, aura bright. Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, John, and Dr. Fate follow, a shielded spear aimed at his back. "Thanos," Superman calls. Thanos turns, eyes dim but steady. "You came," he says. "Good. You should witness balance set right." "Balance," Wonder Woman spits. "You are about to kill more than any war in our history. That is not balance, that is pride." Green Lantern holds the tunnel open behind them as other lanterns pour out, forming ranks. They are joined by Shazam, covered in lightning, and Aquaman, trident gleaming. The heroes form a widening circle around Thanos, with the source wall behind him, the distorted wave looming in the distance. This is the second poster moment, DC's finest, in full array, facing the Titan at the edge of everything. Dr. Fate raises a glowing hand. "The wall cannot take another direct strike," he says. "If he pushes again with full force, reality will not hold." John floats closer, his voice soft. "Thanos," he says in Thanos' mind, "you saw a future just now. Tell me what you saw." Thanos doesn't answer. Superman does. "He saw nothing," Clark says, guessing and landing close to the truth. "He saw what he thinks is peace." Thanos' lips thin. "Peace is not nothing," he says. "Peace is the end of screams." "You end screams by ending voices," Wonder Woman says. "That is not mercy, that is fear." The distortion wave roars closer, folding stars as it comes. Dr. Fate and Zatanna chant, building a golden barrier in front of it. The barrier holds for a moment, then starts to crack. "We can slow it," Fate says, "but not stop it. The blow to the wall has already happened. The echo must land somewhere." Batman's voice comes through the comm. "You started this with the gauntlet," Bruce says. "So the only way to bleed off the energy may be through the same channel. That means putting Thanos between the wave and the wall," Cyborg adds, "using him like a lightning rod." "That will tear him apart," John says quietly. "He chose this," Batman answers. "But if we do nothing, whole sectors will vanish." Superman flinches at the logic, but he understands it. He looks at Thanos. "We can anchor the damage to you," he says. "You survive it, maybe, maybe not. The universe has a chance either way, or we let the shock hit everywhere. You decide." Thanos stares at him. "Offer yourself as sacrifice," he says. "It is always your answer." He remembers how no one on Titan would listen to him until it was too late. He remembers how they all died anyway. He looks at his burned arm, at the cracked gauntlet. He feels the anti-life fragment pushing, wanting him to say, "Let it all burn." He closes his eyes for one long breath. Then he shakes his head. "No," he says. "I will not bleed for a universe that learned nothing." He turns back to the wall. "I will show you what true balance looks like when no one can ever grow again." The heroes move as one. Superman rockets forward. Green Lantern builds chains. Dr. Fate lays sigils in the air. Wonder Woman's lasso glows. They aim not to kill Thanos, but to stop his arm. Thanos moves faster than a body that burns should. The time stone flickers, gives him just enough. He shifts half a second forward and steps through their net, taking hits that shatter armor, but not his focus. He raises the gauntlet again toward the wall. The distortion wave hits. It slams into the barrier the mages built, cracks it, then pours through. It meets Thanos' raised fist, where power, space, and reality blaze. Energy screams through the stones, into him, into the wall, into everything. For a moment, everyone sees too much. Superman sees every living thing, everywhere, flickering as possible numbers. Wonder Woman sees every war in history stacked on top of every future war. Batman sees a map of every choice he ever made, represented as turning points that branch and die. Thanos sees a clean line. 0. No branches, no noise, no suffering, because nothing exists to suffer. The anti-life fragment lunges toward that line, eager. The stones resist, each one tuned to a different idea of what infinity is. The wall screams. Stone bodies shift, reaching out as if to hold the universe together by sheer will. Cracks appear in the gauntlet. Tiny shards of gold drip off into space and burn away. Thanos roars, muscles tearing as he tries to direct the flood. The heroes act inside this storm. Wonder Woman's lasso wraps the gauntlet again, glowing white hot. Green Lantern reinforces it with a ring construct, layering green metal over golden rope. Superman grabs Thanos' shoulder from behind, adding his strength to pull the arm away from the wall. "Let go," Clark shouts. "If I let go, it all falls," Thanos snarls. "You are not holding it together," Diana says through clenched teeth. "You are tearing it apart." They pull, and the anti-life saturated energy bends. The wave spreads sideways instead of straight back into the wall. It races out across space, slamming into outlying systems, wiping some, bending others. Whole dead zones appear in the map of the universe, places where stars simply go out, but the core to which Earth belongs shudders and stays. Thanos screams again. The gauntlet finally gives. It shatters, exploding in a ring of broken gold and scattered gem fragments that fly in all directions. The stones themselves crack, each splitting into countless tiny shards of colored light. The blast hurls everyone away. Superman tumbles through space. Green Lantern's ring goes dark for a second, then flickers back at half power. Dr. Fate's helm spins off and vanishes into the storm. Thanos spins too, burned and broken. His left arm now nothing but a charred stump past the elbow. Shard light sinks into his skin as the fragments of the stone search for any anchor they can find. The anti-life fragment wraps around them, turning them into something new. His eyes blaze, not with 6 colors now, but with one sick, pale glow. Codex note: when the Infinity Stones shattered against the source wall, their pieces bonded with this universe's primal equations, creating wild, unstable infinity shards that can rewrite local reality, but at the cost of burning out whatever holds them. The storm passes. The distortion wave moves on, leaving behind silence. The source wall is cracked but not destroyed. Parts of it glow like fresh scars. Beyond, something vast turns over in its sleep. The heroes regroup as best they can. Green Lantern gathers drifting allies with a weak, flickering aura. John pulls unconscious bodies together and checks minds for signs of permanent harm. Superman coughs up blood, but waves off help. "How bad?" he asks. Cyborg's voice comes through the comm, shaky. "Whole sectors are dark," Victor says. "We lost systems I don't even have names for yet, only numbers. But Earth is still here. Central ring of space is still here." Flash's voice is small. "So, the DC universe didn't get totally erased," he says. "Just carved up." Batman speaks last. "We stopped total collapse," he says, "but we didn't stop him." He pulls up a feed from a deep space probe. He survived. Far away from the wall, in a patch of warped space, Thanos drifts. He's no longer wearing the gauntlet. Instead, tiny shards of the stones float around him, orbiting like slow sparks. The anti-life fragment coils through them, a dark thread. He lifts his remaining hand, Shards sink into his flesh, lighting him from within. His body reconstructs itself in half measures. Some wounds close, others stay open, leaking slow light. He is less than he was, but also tuned more closely to this universe now. He feels its wounds. He hears the silence from the dead sectors. He feels the panic of survivors trying to understand why whole star fields are gone. It is a start, he says quietly. Back on Earth, all across the planet, magic users, psychics, and scientists sense the change. John Constantine lights a cigarette with shaking hands. Raven clutches her head as new voices scream in her soul. Even children wake from dreams they will not remember, hearts racing. In the watchtower, the League stares at a new map. Swaths of space are grey blanks. Millions of lives, Aquaman says, voice rough. Maybe billions. Wonder Woman closes her eyes. We were slow, she says. We argued too long about what to do with him. Superman does not argue. He feels every life as a weight. We can't go back, he says. We can only stop him from finishing what he started. Flash nods, angry tears in his eyes. Then let's go fast. Up to now, Thanos has cracked the edge of reality, shattered the stones, and wounded the universe, forcing heroes and gods to face that their choices have already cost countless lives. Darkseid does not like sharing. From Apocalypse, he watches the new map of space as well. Through his own instruments and seers, he sees dead zones, new flows of power, and a Titan who did what Darkseid never dared, strike the wall. His hatred sharpens into something cold and bright. He speaks to Desaad, his twisted scientist. The stranger has opened doors, Darkseid says, and broken locks. Desaad nods, eager. Yes, Lord, he says. Energy readings suggest fragments of his stones now drift through our cosmos. They fall like meteors, embedding in worlds, in people. Then we will harvest them, Darkseid says. He opens boom tubes. Parademon fleets launch. New generals, blessed with hints of anti-life, lead them. They move to seize every shard they can, turning Thanos' wreckage into weapons. On Oa, lanterns scramble too. Hal presses the Guardians. We can't let Darkseid get those shards either, he says. Or Thanos. Or anyone, really. A Guardian nods. We will deploy the core to secure as many as possible, she says. But there are more shards than there are lanterns. We must choose our battles. Story of my life, Hal mutters. In the tower, Batman lays out a grim plan. We can't outrace everyone, Bruce says. We can't guard every shard, so we change the target. Cyborg tilts his head. Meaning, we go for the central node, Batman says. The main threat is not the shards, it's Thanos. He's become the only being who can still pull the universe fully apart. Then we find him, Superman says. Not that simple, John says. He is less visible to our tools now. The shards in him let him slide between the cracks. Zatanna taps the table with one painted nail. Magic can track him, she says, but not from here. He's hiding in the folds near the dead zones. We will need to travel close to the scars themselves. The room quiets. Traveling near the dead zones means passing by broken systems where nothing works right. Gravity may shift, time may jump, even thoughts may not behave. That's our job, Superman says. We go into the worst places so others don't have to. And we don't go alone, Wonder Woman says. We call others who understand these scars. Names appear on the screen. Members of the Justice League Dark, cosmic heroes, even a few names underlined in red. Lex Luthor's face appears among them. Flash squints. Please tell me that's a glitch, Barry says. Batman's voice is flat. Luthor predicted this kind of event years ago, Bruce says. He has tech built to measure reality fractures. If we want a clear picture of Thanos' path, we need his tools. Superman's jaw tightens, but he nods. We keep him on a short leash, he says. Soon after, a sleek jet lands in a hidden bay. Lex steps out in a high-tech suit, smug even in the face of cosmic collapse. Superman, Lex says, I see you finally found a problem you can't punch away. Clark doesn't rise to it. You know why you're here, he says. Help us track him, or enjoy being one of the last people alive in a dead universe. Lex's smirk fades just a little. He steps to the table, plugs a device into the system. His shards radiate a unique signature, Lex says. A blend of his original universe and the fractured anti-life. I can use that to map potential hiding spots. Cyborg raises an eyebrow. You already had that ready, he asks. Creepy. Lex shrugs. I always plan for aliens who think they know what's best for us, he says, glancing at Superman. Focus, Batman says. Lines appear on the hologram, showing a twisted path through the dead zones. There, Lex says, pointing at a knot of interference. He's camping in the shadow of what used to be a star cluster. Perfect place for a final experiment. They assemble a mission. Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, John, Cyborg, Flash, Zatanna, and Constantine for the magic side. Dr. Fate is missing, his helm lost, so they bring Raven and Etrigan as backup. And for sins yet to be paid, Lex Luthor himself. He will stay in the ship, he promises, running instruments. Batman gives him a cold look that says he does not trust that promise. They board a multi-layered craft, part javelin jet, part lantern construct, part magic circle. It glows green and gold, with runes carved into its hull. Cyborg ties it into the watchtower's last stable boom tube. Once you launch, you'll be on your own, Victor warns. Those dead zones cut you off from pretty much everything. Superman nods. He looks around at the mixed team. Science, magic, alien, human, even demon. This is their third poster moment. A convergence crew heading into the broken edge of the DC universe. Let's bring him in, Clark says. The ship jumps. Space outside turns strange at once. Stars flicker in and out. Whole chunks of darkness drift past, where nothing exists at all. Inside, everyone feels it. The Flash taps his foot and then looks down, startled, when his own motion leaves a faint afterimage that lags behind him a little too long. Okay, that's not normal, Barry says. I'm fast, but I shouldn't be fast in time like that. Raven hugs herself, cloak tight. The dead zones are hungry, she says. They want to be filled. Lex mutters to himself, running numbers. Interesting, he says. Space-time density fluctuates, but there's a clear pattern. Constantine glares at him. We're on a suicide run, Baldy, John says. Maybe save the lab voice for later. Lex ignores him. They approach the knot of interference. Outside, debris spins around a central void. Hex-shaped chunks of worlds, cracked pieces of cities and ships, all orbiting a dark sphere. In the center floats Thanos. He is not alone. Around him hover parademons warped by shardlight, their wings trailing colored fire. Some wear jagged bits of stone embedded in their armor. They move in tight, controlled paths, like pieces on a board. Darkseid got to him first, Green Lantern says. No, John says, feeling the minds. Darkseid touched them. But now they answer to two voices at once. He winces. It is not clean. The ship drops its cloak. Superman steps out into the warped space, shielded by lantern light and magic wards. Thanos, he calls again. The Titan turns slowly. His eyes glow with pale fusion of shard colors and anti-life. His skin is carved with faint lines of formula. His missing arm has not grown back. He has not tried. Superman, Thanos says, you survived more than most. You may live to see the end. You've killed more than we can count, Clark says. It ends today. Yes, Thanos agrees, for many things. He gestures, and the warped parademons form ranks between them. They are shaky, some flickering, but they still fly. Wonder Woman draws sword and shield. Green Lantern readies constructs, though his ring whines about low power. Flash crackles with nervous speed. Raven's eyes go dark, and Etrigan growls. Hit hard, hit fast, Batman's voice says in their ears from far away. Find out what the shards can do when pushed, then pull back before the dead zone eats you. Superman wants to argue about pulling back, but he knows better. Move, he says. They charge. Flash becomes a red streak, using wild gravity to ricochet between enemies. He taps parademons at the right point to shatter their warped forms, sending shards of stone and energy spinning off. Wonder Woman cuts through others, her blade singing. Green Lantern shapes a giant drill and bores a path. John phases through enemies and tears out shards without killing the host when he can. Raven and Constantine work together to wrap dark magic around loose fragments, binding them before they can burn through fabric of space. Superman cuts straight for Thanos. Thanos moves less, but each move matters. He reaches out with shard power, which behaves like a broken version of the old stones. He twists a patch of space, and Superman suddenly finds himself dragged sideways, slammed into a floating hotel building from some lost world. Clark crashes through it, then bursts out again, eyes blazing. Thanos raises his hand. A wave of anti-life tinted energy pushes out, slowing thoughts. Flash stumbles, seeing every step he could take at once and unable to pick one. Raven shouts a counter-chant, wrapping the wave in shadow. She winces as it brushes her soul. Green Lantern's ring flickers, then steadies as Will pushes back. This guy is a walking patch update of reality, Hal pants, and it sucks. Keep him busy, Lex says over the comm. I'm locking in on the central pattern. He's using the shards to sync with the biggest dead zone. If he finishes, he can extend that nothing everywhere. How long? Batman asks. Minutes, Lex says. Maybe less. Time is fuzzy out here. Story of my life, Flash mutters again, forcing his legs to move. Superman breaks through the last line of warped parademons. He stops a few meters from Thanos. His face is bruised, suit torn, but his eyes are clear. Look at what you did, Clark says, voice low. Look at these broken pieces. This is not balance. This is cruelty and math. Thanos looks at the floating wreckage around them. He sees shattered buildings, broken moons, twisted life. For a moment, something like doubt flickers in his gaze. Then the anti-life whisper curls tighter. Pain is the proof of change, Thanos says. You cling to the old shape of things, even when it killed worlds. Superman shakes his head. We change by saving better, not by killing faster, he says. You failed, Thanos says simply. He thrusts out his hand. Shard energy lashes at Superman, wrapping around him like colored barbed wire. Clark strains, muscles tearing, as the energy tries to pin his atoms in place. He fights, inch by inch, powered by stubborn hope. Wonder Woman lunges to help, lasso hitting the energy. Shard light crawls up the rope, trying to write formulas on it. Diana grits her teeth and pulls harder. You are not the only one who knows pain, she says. We do not let it turn us into butchers. The lasso glows brighter as it burns away anti-life. Raven adds her power, shadows swallowing some of the shard lines. Green Lantern pushes his will into a construct that clamps down on Thanos' wrist. For a heartbeat, the Titan is held. Then he flexes, and raw, broken infinity flares again. The explosion sends everyone flying a second time. The ship spins. Lex swears as instruments overload. "We can't win this straight up," he snaps. "He's wired into the dead zone. As long as he stands here, he's the strongest thing around." "So we move him," Batman says. Lex blinks. "Excuse me?" "We cut him off from his power source," Bruce says. "Reroute one of the mother boxes through the dead zone. Open a path that drags him toward the core universe, away from this emptiness. That will drag the dead zone with him," Zatanna says. "He'll bring the nothing into the heart of what's left." "And that's our chance," Batman says. "We'll have home field advantage. Source lines, magic, every hero we have left. We can't kill him in a place that worships death. We can only beat him in a place that still believes in life." Superman, hearing this, grimaces. "Bring the fire home," he says, "so we can put it out." "Or burn with it," Lex says. "This plan is insane." "Got a better one," Flash snaps. Lex doesn't. He works fast instead, linking the ship's systems with Cyborg's boom tube tech and the captured mother box. The device hums, desperate and off-key in the dead zone. "Okay," Lex says. "When I trigger this, everything in a radius around Thanos is going to get yanked through a nasty shortcut, including a big chunk of nothing." "Do it," Batman says. "Wait," Superman says. "Give us a heads up. We need to be ready." Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, John, Raven, Constantine, Etrigan, and Flash, Titan formation. They aim to hit Thanos from all sides when the pull starts. Lex hits the switch. Reality folds. For a moment, up and down mean nothing. The dead zone peels back like a curtain. Thanos feels the pull. He digs his heels into nothing, fighting the drag. He throws out shard energy to anchor himself to floating debris. Superman blasts through those anchors, burning them away with heat vision. Wonder Woman's lasso wraps his torso. Green Lantern chains his legs. John pushes into his mind, shouting images of the lives already lost, not as numbers, but as faces. Raven binds the loose shards so they cannot grip the void. They all pull together. Stone lines of formula crackling across Thanos' skin. The dead zone howls. Then everything snaps, and they are gone. Behind them, the dead zone buckles and folds inward, shrinking around the point where Thanos used to be. It does not vanish, but it retreats. The knot loosens. Power scaling interlude. 2. In a Guardian report to the core, it is noted that Thanos is now defined by 3 limits: his shattered body, the unstable infinity shards inside him, and his partial bond to the anti-life equation. The shards let him warp reality in bursts, but each burst burns pieces of him and whatever space he stands in, leaving behind scars that are harder to heal each time. The anti-life fragment grants him a terrifying clarity and the ability to push his will into others, yet it also makes his thoughts brittle. He can no longer truly accept any plan that leaves chaos or growth untouched. If he pushes past his current limits, he might gain the power to end this universe in one act, but the backlash could erase his consciousness, leaving only a blind automatic wave of unmaking that no one could reason with or stop. They reappear above Earth. The sky over the planet splits with light as the boom tube opens wide. Thanos, the League, their ship, and a slice of dead zone nothing fall into orbit. The Watchtower's alarms scream. Cyborg scrambles. "I've got a black hole of no forming just outside our atmosphere," he says. "If we don't contain it, it's going to start eating air." Batman fires up planetary defenses, still half broken from before. "Route all power to containment nets," Bruce says. "Fate anchors, lantern shields, everything." From below, Every hero who can fly rockets upward. Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Supergirl, the Titans, even some reformed villains like Black Adam and Sinestro join, pulled by the raw threat. The sky is full of capes, wings, energy trails. They form a shell around Earth as Thanos appears in the center. He drops, then stops himself, catching balance. Shard light leaks from his eyes and scars. Below him, the planet turns, full of life he hasn't yet touched. He can feel it all, like weight on his chest. "It is almost over," he says. Superman floats between him and the planet. "No," Clark says. "It's just beginning." Thanos smiles, a cracked thing. Behind him, the slice of dead zone shimmers, begins to spread slowly, pressing against the containment fields. Lanterns and mages are building around it. The convergence event has started, a piece of nothing pressing into something, using Thanos as its key. Whatever happens here will set the new rules for the DC universe. The air around Earth turns strange. Clouds twist into rings. Colors people have never seen before shimmer at the edges of the sky. Down in cities, birds fly in aimless loops, confused by a gravity that feels wrong. Children point at a dark stain in the blue, where the dead zone presses against the shields. High above, green lanterns strain. They create a huge green shell around the slice of nothing, layering will on will. The shell bends under pressure, groaning with light. Mages on floating platforms draw glowing sigils, tying the shell to magic anchors. Every line of power leads to one center point, Thanos. He feels it. The dead zone pulls on him like a tide. Shard light in his body flares, eager to connect. Anti-life whispers, promising a perfect silent rest if he just lets the nothing in. Below, he hears billions of heartbeats without trying. Superman floats between Thanos and Earth, just out of reach. Behind Clark, dozens of heroes hover, forming layers of color and steel. Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Shazam, Supergirl, Hawkman, Raven, and more. Even Black Adam and Sinestro stand in the lines, eyes narrow, for once aimed at the same enemy. They all feel the pull of the convergence. "Thanos," Superman calls. His voice carries through comms and magic both. "It doesn't have to end with everyone dead." Thanos tilts his head, eyes bright with shard fire. "You say that as if they matter more than truth," Thanos says. "Truth?" Wonder Woman demands. She steps forward, sword at her side, lasso at her hip. "What truth is worth this much blood?" Thanos looks down at the planet. "That life left unchecked eats worlds until nothing is left," he says. "That mercy without limit is cruelty spread." Batman's voice comes through every earpiece. "He's wired to the dead zone," Bruce says from the watchtower. "As long as he stays connected, it will keep growing. Our shields will fail soon." Lex Luthor stands near him, hands flying over a console. "We can end him now," Lex says. "I have a kill switch lined up. A focused, planet-based beam that will shatter whatever is inside him." Cyborg frowns. "You trigger that, and the shards inside him might blow like a bomb," Victor says. "We'd be right back at the war problem, but closer. Or we stop him," Lex snaps. "This is what hard choices look like." Batman's eyes narrow. "No," Bruce says. "Not yet. We need him to choose." Lex scoffs. "You expect the mass murderer to grow a conscience now?" Batman doesn't answer. He just watches Thanos on the screen and listens. The dead zone presses harder. The green shell. Around it cracks, lines of darkness worming through. Lanterns cry out in strain as their rings drain faster. Satana's voice grows hoarse as she shouts another binding spell to reinforce the cracks. The spectre appears again, high above the battle, huge and ghostly. His form dwarfs even the shields. His voice booms in minds and hearts, not ears. The scales tip, Spectre says. Judgment is near, but I cannot choose this for you. Superman glances up. So even God's wrath won't fix it for us, he says quietly. No, John says beside him. It never was that simple. Thanos lifts his good hand. Shard light swirls around his fingers. He reaches forward, and the shell around the dead zone flickers. A thin beam of nothing slices down, grazing the upper layers of shield. Below, a piece of sky simply turns blank. No blue, no clouds, just a hole growing slow. People scream and run, though there is nowhere to hide from that kind of absence. Green Lantern roars and pushes his ring harder. The shell thickens again, closing the gap, but it cost him. His ring dims, warning him about approaching limits. I'm running out of juice, Hal says. I didn't sign up to push back the end of everything on 12% charge. Superman calls out again. Thanos, this isn't like your universe, he says. We're not ignoring the problem. We're standing here right now, trying to fix it with you. Thanos' eyes narrow. You are in my way, he says. No, Clark says. We're between you and people who have done nothing wrong. Thanos snorts. Everyone eats, he says. Everyone consumes. Wrong is only a matter of time. Wonder Woman shakes her head. You talk like death is math, she says. But I held your soul in my lasso. You were not born cruel. You were born afraid no one would listen. The words hit deeper than a punch. Thanos remembers Titan again. He remembers how they laughed at him, how they called him mad. He remembers pulling bodies from rubble when the famine finally came. The anti-life fragment coils tighter. It feeds on that memory, shapes it into a simple line. They did not listen, so all must be forced. Thanos' jaw clenches. He raises his hand higher. The fragments inside him surge. Reality around him warps, tilting. Heroes feel their bones shift. Somewhere, a satellite's orbit twists out of shape and burns. The dead zone swells against the shell. Down below, inside the Daily Planet, Lois Lane grabs a camera and shouts for Jimmy. In Gotham, Commissioner Gordon orders evacuations, even though he knows there may be nowhere safe. In Central City, Iris West reports live, voice shaking but steady. Ordinary people do what they can. Help each other, squeeze hands, sit with the scared. In the Watchtower, the Guardians of the Universe appear as tiny blue projections. This is the convergence, one says. Your choices now will fix the shape of this cosmos. We can throw the weight of the core behind your shields, another says. But we cannot decide whose will rules the result. That is the job of those who live here. Superman feels their eyes on him. He looks at Batman on the screen. Bruce meets his gaze, tired but sharp. We can't kill him for this to work, Batman says. If he dies at full charge, the shards and the dead zone may blow free. We need him to turn them away from us. Superman nods. So we convince a man who thinks he's always right to admit he's wrong, he says. Easy. Wonder Woman drifts closer to Thanos, shield up but sword sheathed. She speaks loud enough for all to hear. The universe you knew is gone, she says. You lost. Your plan broke as much as it saved. Look at this new one. You are doing it again. Thanos glares. I saved more than you ever will, he says. Did you? She asks. Her lasso glows at her side, warm and steady. Titan died, she says. Half of your old universe died. This one bleeds now. How many more corpses before you admit your cure does not work? Her voice is not angry now. It is sad. The words land on the part of Thanos that still doubts. He sees Titan's black fields. He sees the dusted faces in his own universe, The touch of the gauntlet, the horror in their eyes. He sees the grey dead spots in this sky where stars have gone out. The anti-life fragment hisses. It shows him a different picture. A clean, empty universe, no hunger, no war. It promises that he can still give that gift. He only has to ignore the pain. Batman's voice cuts in. "There is another way," Bruce says. "You opened a path between universes when you came here. You cracked the wall when you tried to force your law on it. Use that again, but this time, aim it away." Cyborg speaks fast, building on it. "I can sync the mother boxes and the scars in space," Victor says. "We can open a drain back toward the edges, toward the place between your universe and ours. A pocket where the dead zone and the shards can bleed off without swallowing us." Lex's eyes widen as he sees the math. "That's possible," he says slowly. "Insane, but possible. You'd be making a dump for Poison Reality, a nowhere full of all the bad rules." "And who goes in to carry it?" Wonder Woman asks, already knowing. All eyes turn to Thanos. He understands at once. He would be the anchor. He would go into the nowhere and stay there, holding the dead zone and shard law away from both universes. Superman meets his gaze. "You want someone to pay," Clark says. "Fine. Let it be you. Not billions of people who never chose any of this." Thanos snarls. "You would sacrifice me to save them," he says. "No different from me sacrificing them to save others." "The difference is choice," John says softly. His telepathic voice touches Thanos' mind like a hand on a shoulder. "We do not force you," John says. "We ask. You decide." "And if I say no?" Thanos asks. "Then we fight," Superman says. He does not flinch. "We will fight until we die, or you do, or the universe breaks," he says. "But we will never help you finish this." The line is simple, strong. Thanos looks at him, at the heroes behind him, at the tiny world below, full of life he has not yet counted. He feels the pull of the dead zone through his chest. "You think your hope changes math," Thanos says. "Hope changes you," Superman says, "and you change what you do with power." Wonder Woman's lasso shines brighter, reflecting in Thanos' eyes. "Your pain is real," she says. "Your fear is real. But you are not fate. You are just a man with a broken tool." The anti-life fragment writhes. It pushes images of him dying alone in the nowhere, ignored. It whispers that if he sacrifices himself, no one will understand. No one will praise him. He thinks of that empty praise and finds he does not care. He thinks of Titan's children, long dead. He thinks of the worlds he has already cut. He thinks how much he hates that he might be doing the same, again and again, calling it mercy. Slowly, Thanos lowers his hand. Shard light still leaks from his skin, but the lines around his eyes change. He looks tired. He looks old. "What you ask is not balance," he says. "It's justice," Wonder Woman says. "It's a way out," Batman adds. "It's a choice," Superman finishes. Thanos looks at the dead zone pressing against the shell. He looks at the planet. He closes his eyes. "Very well," he says. "I will be the knife you throw away." The anti-life fragment screams in his skull. It tries to jerk his arm back up to fire. Shard light spikes, trying to slam into the planet. Thanos clamps down, using his will not to kill, but to hold back. Raven gasps. "He's fighting it," she says. "He's actually pushing the equation down." Constantine lights another cigarette with shaking fingers. "That's going to burn him out from the inside," John mutters. "And if he slips, we all die." Cyborg works fast. "Linking mother boxes, watchtower relays, lantern fields," he says. "Routing through the scars he already made in space. I can open the drain to a pocket outside normal space, but he has to push the flow through himself." Do it, Batman says. Magic circles light up around the planet. On Themyscira, Amazons stand in a ring, spears lowered, as a golden line shoots up from their island. In Atlantis, towers glow, sending blue streams of power into the sky. In Nanda Parbat, monks chant as a white column joins the others. On OR, lanterns raise their rings and add green beams to the web. The guardians chant in an ancient tongue, steady and grave. On Apocalypse, Darkseid watches the network of light and clenches his fists. He hates what he is about to do, but he does it anyway. He lifts his arms. Omega energy arcs from his world toward the shell, not to break it, but to harden it. We will not have our universe eaten by a vagabond, Darkseid says. If anyone rules what is left, it will be me. His power locks the outer edge of the shell in place. The Spectre spreads his cloak wide, covering parts of the sky. He speaks one word that no mortal tongue can hold. The word anchors the drain to law, so it will not flip back on the living by accident. All forces, light and dark, law and chaos, aim at one point, Thanos. He raises his hand again, but not to strike. Instead, he opens himself. Shard energy and dead zone pulls surge through him. It is like swallowing a star made of poison. His nerves burn. His mind tears. The anti-life fragment laughs as it is dragged along. The sky screams. A beam of jagged light, 9 colors and 1 colorless, explodes from Thanos' body upward, carving a path beyond sight. The dead zone shrinks, sucked into the beam. The green shell stops bending inward and begins to push out, flattening the stain back. Heroes flinch as the beam roars past them. Rings overload. Tattoos of power glow too bright. Monks and mages down below sag, blood dripping from noses. But the drain holds. Thanos hangs at the center, shaking. He feels himself peel apart on the inside. Every shard tries to run. Every part of him that ever believed he was right resists. Superman flies closer, ignoring warnings. Shard light stabs at him, but he pushes on until he is only a few meters away. Thanos, he shouts over the noise. You don't have to do it alone. It must be one will, Thanos grinds out. Too many minds, and the equation will slip. Wonder Woman holds up her lasso. Take this, she says. Let truth bind the flow, not only your pain. He hesitates. Then he nods once. She throws, and the lasso wraps around his chest, glowing white gold. The beam running through him steadies. The anti-life fragment shrieks as truth touches it. John adds his mind carefully, a light hand on the edge of Thanos' thoughts. He does not try to control, only to hold lines steady. Remember why you began, John whispers. You did not want children to starve. Thanos gasps. He sees for a heartbeat, a different line. Not half the universe dead, but worlds that learn to share. He sees a path he never took. Talk, work, slow change. He sees how little he trusted anyone to walk that path with him. He laughs once, bitter and short. I was a coward, he says. Superman shakes his head. You were hurt, he says. You made yourself into a monster so you wouldn't have to feel it. Thanos closes his eyes. Then let this be my last act, he says. A monster cleaning his own mess. He leans into the drain. The beam flares brighter, then thinner, like a knife. The dead zone shrinks faster now, folding into the path. Far away, cracks at the source wall glow, then cool. His body starts to flake away. Pieces of armor peel off and crumble into dust. Chunks of flesh turn to light. Underneath, for a moment, is only a shape made of lines and intent. Wonder Woman feels the lasso burning hot in her hands. She grips tighter, refusing to let go. I will witness, she says. No one dies unseen. Thanos nods once, barely. He looks at Earth one last time. He does not see numbers or mouths this time. He sees random small things. A boy running with a dog, an old woman watering a plant on a fire escape, a teacher reading to a scared class. He finds that he does not hate them. "Do better," he says quietly, though no one can hear it through the roar. Then the beam surges. It pulls the last solid part of him apart. There is a flash of white. When it fades, Thanos is gone. The beam is gone. The dead zone slice is gone. Only a faint scar in the sky remains, like a healed cut. The green shell flickers, then dims as lanterns drop it. Magic circles fade, leaving smoke and tired spellcasters. The spectre shrinks and vanishes with a low, distant sigh. Darkseid lowers his arms and watches, saying nothing. Silence falls over the upper sky. For a long moment, no one moves. Then Flash lets out a sharp, shaky laugh. "Did we just talk the universe's biggest control freak into throwing himself into a trash portal?" he says. "Because I did not have that on my bingo card." Superman lets out a slow breath. He feels sore, inside and out. "He chose," Clark says. "He finally chose to save instead of cut." Wonder Woman nods, wiping at her eyes. Lex Luthor stares at the readings in the watchtower. "All that power," he mutters. "Gone. Wasted." Batman gives him a look. "It's not wasted if we're alive to complain about it," Bruce says. Lex snorts, but does not argue. News spreads. On Earth, the sky slowly returns to normal colors. People step out of shelters and basements. They look up at the faint new scar, not sure what it is, only that it means they are still here. Codex note: the convergence event ended when Thanos used the shattered Infinity Shards and anti-life fragment inside him as a conduit, pulling the dead zone and foreign law into a sealed pocket beyond the reach of either universe, at the cost of his own existence within known reality. Days pass. The Justice League works without rest, helping cities hit by side effects and cleaning up from smaller disasters triggered during the crisis. Lanterns patrol the borders of the blank sectors, mapping what is left. Mages patch thin spots in reality. In the watchtower, a new map hangs in the war room. Huge grey areas still show where once there were stars. "They aren't coming back," Cyborg says quietly. "At least, not in any way we understand." Flash stares at the gaps. "All those people," he says. "We won, but we still lost so much." "We didn't win," Batman says. He stands with arms crossed, eyes on the map. "We survived," he says. "Those aren't the same thing." Superman puts a hand on his shoulder. "We also learned," Clark says. "We won't forget that someone tried to decide who lives and who dies for us. Not ever." Wonder Woman looks at the others. "Then we change our oath," she says. "We are not only guardians of Earth, we are guardians of choice." They update the League Charter. New lines are added, plain and firm. No outside will may decide the fate of worlds without those worlds' voice. No single person, no matter how powerful, gets to set the right number of lives. Balance must always include mercy and shared choice. On OA, the Guardians debate for a long time. Some argue that they should have acted harder and faster. Others say the core cannot be the fix for every wound. In the end, they carve a simple rule into their lantern code. Beware those who seek to save by subtraction alone. On Apocalypse, Darkseid sits on his throne and considers the scar in space. Desaad bows, asking what the next move will be. Darkseid's eyes burn, but his voice is calm. "The Titans showed us how far the fabric can bend," he says. "We will not waste that lesson." He turns his gaze toward the grey sectors. "They are not dead, only quiet," he says. "There may be paths through that stillness that lead to new fields of conquest. He smiles, very slightly. The game has changed, but it has not ended. Lex Luthor returns to his life on Earth. He stands in his tower, looking at the faint scar in the sky through thick glass. He thinks of the power that passed through Thanos. He thinks of how close he came to having data enough to copy it. He clenches his fist. For now, Lex says to himself, we play hero. He files away his notes on infinity signatures and dead zones. He does not destroy them. In Atlantis, Arthur sits on a ledge with Mira, watching weird fish patterns in currents that still twist from the convergence. These scars will be here for generations, Mira says. Yeah, Arthur says. Kids will grow up asking what that line in the sky is. What we tell them will matter. On Themyscira, the Amazons hold a quiet ceremony for the world's lost. They speak the names of systems they never knew before the map showed them. They also speak one more name at the end, almost reluctantly. Thanos, not as a hero, not as a pure villain. As a warning, Hippolyta says. As a man who let pain turn into law, Diana says. And as a man who at the end chose to pay his own price, she adds softly. The Amazons nod. In Central City, children draw pictures in school. Some draw the sky scar as a big shiny line. Some draw the heroes around it. One small boy draws a huge purple figure holding a black hole away from Earth, his face very sad. Who's that? The teacher asks. The bad guy who helped at the end, the boy says. The teacher pauses, then nods. That's one way to remember it, she says. She pins the picture to the wall. In a quiet hospital room in Metropolis, an old woman who saw both Zod's attack and the convergence watches the news. The anchor talks about rebuilding and new councils between worlds. She smiles a little. They keep getting louder, she whispers. Maybe one day they'll learn before they almost lose everything. Superman flies past her window, a streak of red and blue. He stops for a moment, hovering, then moves on. He checks on a damaged dam, helps turn a broken ship upright, and spends a few minutes floating in space, looking at the scar. He thinks of Thanos. I won't forget, Clark says quietly. I won't forget what hurt you, or what you did, or what you chose at the end. He crosses his arms, cape drifting. And I won't let anyone else call that kind of control mercy again. He turns back toward Earth. There is always more work. Fires to put out, people to rescue, meetings to attend. He goes, because that is who he is. He will never kill half to save half. The Justice League meets one last time in the Watchtower to close the crisis files. They record what happened in plain words, so future heroes can read without confusion. They store scans of the Infinity Shard's energy, locked behind layers of protections. They mark the pocket where Thanos went as no entry in their maps. Raven sits alone in a corner for a while after the meeting. She reaches out with her soul to the edge of that pocket. For a second, she feels a faint, distant pressure, like someone leaning against a door from the other side. She whispers, "Rest, if you can." The pressure fades. She does not know if he heard. She does not try again. Some doors are meant to stay closed. Life goes on. Slowly, but it does. Heroes and villains return to their old fights, shifted now by what they saw. The universe is smaller than it was, but also sharper, more aware of itself. Final Codex note. In the ledgers of the Guardians, the scrolls of the Amazons, and the whispered fears of cosmic tyrants, Thanos of Titan is now recorded as the one who cracked the wall and then carried his own disaster out of the DC universe. A warning that even gods cannot turn pain into law without one day paying the full cost themselves.